Pro forma versus actual, I'd like to see those side by side. Remember, pro forma means pretend, but when I do it, I'll have my actual numbers, and then I will create what I think I can make this property into, but a really true picture and really believable. So I like to put those side by side. What are the three things asking the seller for? Oh, okay, so the most important three things when you're asking the seller for a property is a property package. If you have one, you're only going to have a property package if there's a broker involved. By the way, half of my deals that are direct to the bank still have a broker involved. They're still direct to the bank, but the bank has decided to put the broker in between, which is not a big deal. I'm still direct. So don't be like, oh, I don't want to work with brokers. I work with brokers all the time. Typically, it's the bank that puts me into contact with that broker, and that's a good thing too. And then the next deal, I almost always do direct, they decide. They are the ones that decide that. Oh, thanks. I think it was for me. Oh, for Chris?
I requested it so you could have it as
well. Oh, thank you.
So you wouldn't have to use
That's nice. Thank you. Okay. Calculating vacancies, even when they say it's 100% occupied, you still want to do about an 8%. I don't go much lower than an 8% vacancy. Now, when it says it's 100% occupied, that may be very true. But because of turnover, it is not true completely. And on top of it, another thing is when you're looking at student property or the student, occupied, yeah, it's 100% full in the winter months. And then they say, oh, well, we have all of our parents on the hook and all that stuff. Yeah, this doesn't mean that much. It helps to have the parents on the hook, which means that the parents have also signed the lease. But that's not an end-all, be-all to a non-vacant building in the summer months. And do not underestimate the amount of work it costs you to run a property with a bunch of hormonal students. Because they will tear it apart. They will tear it apart, So it costs a lot more. It's management heavy. And another thing about student housing is there are a lot of people who will pay a lot of money to buy student housing, which has made it to be many times, not a deal. A lot of people will pay a lot of money for it. Actual income coming in, again, huge gold nugget. We covered that a lot. Buy on actual numbers. Always look at real collected income. Again, we did that. Negotiate with the bank to take back financing on the deal. Always do that. Always. And this is what you're going to get. The bank is not interested in taking back financing on this deal. And the broker's going to tell you that. I think that's happened to me 8 out of 10 of the times. And I have every time gotten the bank to take back financing. So you need to say to them, okay, when did they say that? Who did they say that to? Of course they don't want to. I don't feel like, I don't feel like doing my hair this morning. Whatever. I mean, I don't feel like taking back financing. Of course they don't. Of course they don't. That doesn't mean they don't have to. And that doesn't mean that they won't. The big thing is, when was the last time they were asked, and I want you to ask now for me, on my behalf. And if they still say no, I may go in and say, I'd like to specifically talk to the bank myself. But then another way to do it is to go and try to get financing on the property. Go to Eric. Like, Eric, can you take a look at this? Is this something that we could do? Eric says, no. And then you go to the bank and you say, I've just checked it with several lenders, and no one is going to take back financing on this property. So I am again requesting that you take back financing on the property. Almost every bank has for me. So just let them, but it's going to be a negotiation. Don't just lay down and say, oh, well, okay. Don't do that. This is a negotiating process. Always buy on cash flow. Forced depreciation is key, which means using value play in order to appreciate the property. We're going to go into that. Oops. Do not buy vacant buildings. I don't go under 75% occupancy. It makes me very nervous. And in fact, it's very hard to get a loan on anything that's under 85% occupancy. So a lot of times I'll even stick to that. A lot of you are thinking, many times when you go out there, you think, well, these are deferred maintenance properties, they're under occupied, no, don't go there. You don't need to. There's a lot of property that's really great. A lot of banks have put together very, they'll throw money at these deals, they'll throw money at them. So now you have a deal that so much money is being poured into, so it's operating really poorly, but great. Now they've made all these changes. They make it into a better property. They just don't know how to manage it. So those are the types of things you're looking for. Cash back at closing for repairs. That's something that we typically will ask for. So we'll say, hey, give me here. We'll do this loan. Give me cash back, $600,000 to make these repairs on the property that you have devalued, that you have that I need to fix. Another thing to do when you're saying that to the bank is say, hey, the lender's going to make me do this anyway. So why don't we get cash back for repairs? So I remember, I think it might have been Tim. I don't know who it was, but all owners scrub their books. I scrub my books. Everyone scrubs their books. That's what they do. They are going to take every nail and every paint and every, anything that could be possibly construed as capital improvements, and they are going to take that out of their books, and they're going to put it into CapEx. We do it all the time for the banks. It's common practice in this industry. It's what is done, so you need to be prepared for that. You need to add in for maintenance costs, regular maintenance costs that are not on there. We all scrub our books. The banks expect it. The owners expect it. The borrowers expect it. If you're the only ones who don't scrub their books as much are the banks, because they don't even get it, but all owners do. So that's a key nugget to keep in mind. Biggest thing, turnover is your biggest expense, and sellers do not usually include turnover in the operating expense. Big time. So you need to know what is your turnover. Now, if, an average property will turn over 50% of the units in 1 year. Now, not mine. I'm down to 18% on some of my properties, but it's taken a long time to get there. And the reason why I'm at that, social services, community services, the tutoring, the after school stuff, the happy community, I have a 2-point maintenance program where when they go in there, they fix something, they look around for something else to fix. Oh, I noticed your knob is, loose. And they fix it, and they be sure to say, noticed your knob was loose, I fixed it, That's a 2-point maintenance program. So these special things will keep you from turnover, but an average property will turn over 50%. Now let me make that clear to you, because you're like 50%, no way, that's crazy. That means the average person stays in an apartment 2 years. That's pretty reasonable. I mean, you're going to have someone who stays 16 years, and you're going to have other people who stay 2 months. But the average person stays 50% unless you can cut that down. So those are your turnover costs. You want to cut down turnover as much as possible. It's called shutting the back door. And you do not want to, you have to be very careful. What I will do is I will get a rent roll for the last 12 months to 24 months, and we'll start analyzing how many people have moved. What is your real turnover? Because turnover costs a fortune. Turnover will kill you in this industry. So be sure to brace yourself for that and add to it.